We've got a couple of cool projects for our hot new Pony Express, so hang with us. Today on Horsepower TV, we'll help our Pro Touring pony keep its cool with a cooling system upgrade before we shift our attention to its need for an updated means of banging gears. We'll head west for a crash course on how the experts lay down eye-popping graphics and take you on the front lines of IHRA racing with a profile of Station Steve Latemp. So hang on for Horsepower TV. A little more. That'll do it. All right, welcome to Horsepower TV, where it's pony time in the shop today. Now we're getting ready to give my 65 Fastback a shifter and cooling system upgrade, but looks like she's got some pretty fast company. What do you got there, Chuck?
Well, it's a 70 Mustang Fastback that belongs to a good friend of ours. Now, under the hood here, he's got a blown 351 Windsor that's backed by a C6 transmission, and that slammed stance, well, that comes from an Air Ride Technologies suspension.
Well, speaking of that, my old Pony Express steers like a dream since we installed that new rack and pinion setup, but I got a new nightmare. See, the previous owner installed a 5-speed, which I love, but trying to grab gears with that stock shifter is a real stretch.
Now, that's a common problem for anybody that swaps a T5 overdrive transmission into a classic Mustang, but there is a way to get a handle on changing those gears. It's this Billet Plus shifter from Hurst, and it comes with a CNC machined aluminum base that's a lot stronger than stock, plus it bolts into the original locations. But here's the real key to making it work. These two bolts allow us to take the original shifter handle off and swap it out for this one that's going to make shifting gears a lot less of a stretch.
Now, the first step in this project is to remove the console. We'll put her back here. Put the shifter neutral and remove the knob. Next, the boot comes out. Then the 4 bolts holding the factory shifter in place. And finally, the shifter assembly. Now, the next thing you want to do is remove this little plastic bushing from the transmission, inspect it for wear or damage, and replace it if you need to. Ours looks okay.
Before you bolt in that new shifter, make sure that you clean the mounting base on the transmission, then lay a little bead of silicone right here on the shifter base to seal things up. But now we can drop the shifter in place, making sure that the shifter ball engages that bushing that we inspected earlier. Bolt the shifter down using the new bolts from the kit and torque them to 15 foot-pounds. Now we're ready to set the shifter stops. And to do that, you pull the transmission into second gear, then adjust the stop screw until it just contacts the lever and back it out a half a turn. Once that's done, you can go ahead and lock it in place with the jam nut. Then repeat the procedure up in third gear.
Well, that takes care of the stops. Cool. Now we're ready for this new stick, and it only involves removing a couple of bolts. Just check out this new shifter location. Plus, I think this chrome adds a nice nostalgic touch to this old Fastback.
Don't forget to install this boot that comes with the kit. Now, it'll keep the dirt out of your shifter, and it attaches at the bottom with this nylon tie. Of course, once that's done, we can go ahead and reinstall the console.
Oh man, this new shifter is a lot more solid. Plus, I don't have to reach under the dash to bang gears anymore.
Well, that's a definite improvement. Plus, it's a fairly affordable upgrade too. Now, the shifter and handles will only set you back a couple of $100 and a couple hours out in the driveway.
Well, since we have so much time left, why don't we shift our attention to my cooling system? This thing runs a little bit warm.
Well, I've got a couple of cool solutions for that problem. But what do you say we take a look at some hot stuff from our sponsors first? We'll be right back.
Drag racing, ain't it cool?
Later on, you'll meet the coolest guy in IHRA drag racing, Station Steve, and a graphic look at how to make a cool car statement. So stay tuned.
For the latest news on Horsepower TV, check us out online at horsepowertv.com.
Hey, welcome back to the shop. You know, most of us just can't get enough horsepower, and the problem with that is when you add more horsepower, well, it places an additional strain on the cooling system. So, it makes good sense that when you upgrade your power plant, well, you need to upgrade your cooling system as well.
Of course, that usually happens when it's too late. Now, my pony's engine's been replaced with a late model 5-liter, and we'll eventually upgrade that to a 351 Windsor. That'll put a lot of additional strain on the system. Plus, you know, after 35 years, I think my temperature gauge is trying to tell me something.
What it's probably trying to tell you is you either have insufficient cooling capacity or you have insufficient coolant flow. Now, if it's the flow, well, your problem could be down here in the water pump, or maybe your thermostat isn't opening properly. Of course, you could also have a collapsing radiator hose, or maybe some of the passages in your radiator are clogged.
Well, in the case of my old Mustang, probably all the above. So we're going to replace the original water pump with this high flow unit we got from Edelbrock. It's got a computer-designed impeller that pumps up to 20% more coolant and helps prevent cavitation inside the pump. Now, we'll also install this new HP thermostat from Mr. Gasket. It's got these larger openings here to handle the increased flow.
That's a cool piece. Now, while you've been explaining, I've been over there draining your coolant system, that is. Now, we're going to replace the hoses in the Mustang, and, well, here's something I want you to check out. The lower hose is the suction hose, and most manufacturers use a coil like this one to keep it from collapsing. This hose came off that old Mustang, and as you can see, there's nothing there to keep it from collapsing and cutting off the coolant flow. So replacing the hoses is some pretty inexpensive insurance.
All right, well, I got the radiator out and the pump installed. Now, here's something to remember. Your water pump works better when it's driven 1-to-1, that is, the same speed as the crank or slightly overdriven. Now, you can achieve that by increasing the size of your crank pulley or decreasing the size of your water pump pulley. This stock system's slightly overdriven, so we'll leave it alone, but of course we are going to change out this thermostat.
Chances are this 35-year-old radiator is clogged with about 35 years worth of crud. Now, we could have gone ahead and had it re-cored at the local radiator shop, but hey, for not a whole lot more money, well, we got a whole lot more efficiency with this aluminum radiator from Be Cool. Now, it's a direct bolt-in that weighs about 40% less than the stalker and cools with about 15% more efficiency. And of course, that efficiency's helped out even more with this Spall electric fan that we've added. Now, we're going to wire this thing in to kick in at about 180 degrees.
Well, just like that thermostat I just installed, but hey, you forgot something very important, man. This original radiator has both outlets on the same side here to work with the original water pump. But, hey, I had the lower outlet moved over here, especially to work with our replacement pump. Pretty smart, huh?
Not too bad there, blue oval breath. Now let's see if you're smart enough to follow me to the car with the radiator.
Oval breath, what's he talking about? All right. Pretty snug fit. I'm glad we got the slimline fan.
All right, go ahead and fire it up and turn the heater on too. Now, the reason that you want to do that is to fill the heater core up with coolant and also help eliminate air from the system. Now, we'll go ahead and install the radiator cap loosely for now while the engine warms up. Go ahead and check your upper radiator hose, and once it's warm, well, that means that the thermostat is opened up and you can go ahead and remove your radiator cap so you can check your coolant level. Now, you're probably going to have to add another 2 or 3 quarts to top it off.
A catch can like this one will help keep your radiator topped off since it retains the overflow when the engine gets hot and keeps it there till it's siphoned back into the system when things cool down. Sure beats the old days when coolant just overflowed to the ground. Oh, it's good to keep a 50-50 water coolant mixture for several reasons. Of course, it keeps the engine from freezing, but it'll also help lubricate your water pump and prevent corrosion from getting in the system. I think I'll just mount this thing right here by the radiator.
Well, that tops off our cooling system upgrade for today. Now, if your engine still runs hot, you've probably got a mechanical problem like a blown head gasket, or your timing might not be set right, or your fuel mixture might even be set too lean.
Well, I guess it's time for us to talk about how this project will lean out your wallet. You can count on spending from $400 to $500 for the custom fit radiator. Oh, another $100 for the fan. Water pump goes for just under $150, and well, count on $30 for the hoses and thermostat. Not cheap, but sure beats losing your cool.
Well, we've got even more cool stuff coming up later in the show, so stay where you are.
Horsepower TV's Race of the Week is brought to you by Edelbrock, the leader in automotive performance for nearly 75 years.
This week's racing feature is a little bit different. As you know, we've covered some of the IHRA competition this year, and while the drivers are the real stars, I want you to meet a guy behind the scenes who's always on the front line.
Oh, we're gonna rock and roll here in just a couple more minutes. Give you some excellent drag racing, IHRA style too.
His name is Steve Latemp, better known as Staging Steve to thousands of drivers, crew members, and followers of IHRA drag racing.
I'm the race master. It's my job to get everybody pumped up, see till the cars keep moving. If there's a problem in staging, it's my job to go over and straighten it out.
Jackson, Mississippi, I'm on his pit crew.
That's why he has no divisional number on his number.
Jackson, Mississippi,
Okay.
Ernie Hiller.
All right, you got to get a number on it. All right, he's out of Jackson, Mississippi. Oh, baby, she's smoking.
He's the guy that pumps us all up when we get up there.
Wow, huh? Was that a burnout or what? Send me some more, Mark.
He sent a job app in, and I had an opening. And I called him on the phone, and I said, Steve Latemp, this is Bill Bader at the IHRA office. Are you still looking for a job? He said, yes. I said, well, let me give you the guidelines. If your feet hurt, you're fired. If your body's tired, you're fired. If it's hot out there, you're fired. If you need a break, you're fired. Now, you want this job or not? He said, I want this job. And I'll say in a year, he has never once said his feet hurt, he was tired, it was hot out there, he needed a break.
Steve grew up in Sumter, South Carolina, where he started drag racing at the age of 16, first in an H-Class Anglia, then moving on to a B Econorail powered by a 302 Chevy. He built another Anglia in 1980 and was preparing for the Winter Nationals when a tragic wreck caused him to lose 30% of his leg. After that, Steve quit driving and started wrenching, serving as crew chief on everything from top dragsters to top fuelers, and even fulfilling his championship dreams behind the scenes. Now, as IHRA staging director, along with running a CarQuest shop, he's continuing to live out his dreams with timeless energy and with the people he calls his family.
Steve has more energy than about 8 of us put together. He really does. He does a great job.
Send me 2 more, Mark. 2 more.
He has redefined that position because he's so sincere and passionate and enthusiastic at what he does.
He hasn't fired me yet, so I must be doing something right.
Take a quick stroll through the staging lanes with Steve, and you'll learn more about cars and drivers than anywhere else.
This is my family. All these people down here. You know, we got Rich Davis here. These guys, the regulars, are out here racing and stuff. Super nice people. You know, running a good old Chevrolet. Can't beat that. Baseball, hot dogs, and there it is, Chevrolet. This is a Mustang that basically is stock. We're talking an 11-second stocker. Wow. And this is stock. I mean, this is a fast little Mustang. This is his. I love the old Mopars. Those babies, there's not a Mopar here that doesn't carry the front wheels. One of the step-ups in a lot of the sportsman cars, you move into what they call Pro Stock. And Pro Stock is a really sophisticated factory hot rod. These cars require as much time to build and maintain as a top fuel car. In many cases, they put more money and hours in them than a top fuel car. Is there any car you don't like? No, if it's got wheels and it rolls, I love it, you know?
Now, of course, Steve can't visit the lanes without stopping often to visit members of his family.
I can hug, my wife doesn't mind that, but I think the line's drawn right there. Watch it. Drag racing, ain't it cool?
We have a brand new name for Steve now. He's no longer the head of staging official, and he's now the Beast Master. He's got to tame the beast. That's his job.
Hey, it's drag racing, man. There's nothing like it in the world. Absolutely nothing like it.
Staging Steve Latent, no longer behind the wheel, but always on the front lines of IHRA drag racing. A man whose passion for the sport is matched only by his unbelievable energy.
I need 2 more, Mark. I need 2 more.
Join the Horsepower TV crew at the Import and Compact Showdown December 9th and 10th at Moroso Motorsports Park, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida.
Hi, and welcome back to the shop. You know, we've had a lot of fun building our 32 coupe this year, and hey, whenever we take it out on the boulevard, it attracts a lot of attention. And no doubt, a lot of that attention is due to the fact that we've got this killer paint job. Now, we're going to leave the studio for a little while today. We're going to go to Wyotech in Laramie, Wyoming. That's where Joe is. He's found a bunch of guys out there that are sharing some tips with him on eye-grabbing graphics that'll turn a dull daily driver into a super slick street machine.
We're about to put a 3-color paint job on the new graphics of this Eclipse here, but have you ever wondered how to make the graphics the same on the other side? Well, the trick is first to trace. Using a large piece of paper and a crayon, Wyotech instructor Mike Fisher first makes an outline of the design he's created. He then lays the paper on a board and goes over the lines of the graphic with a punch tool that punches tiny holes. Of course, this is one of the tricks of the trade he teaches to students here.
The next thing we're going to do, Joe, is we're going to transfer this pattern to the other side, making sure it's properly registered. And then we're going to use this bag filled with chalk as a pounce bag to transfer this pattern to the surface. Guys, we're going to take this 1/8" fine line tape, we're going to lay it on there and follow this chalk just as close as we possibly can. Go in as long a length as you can and don't worry about the crossovers because we're going to fix those later.
While Mike and the students finish taping, here's the tip for you. Make sure you get the grease off of this surface with Prep-Sol, then scuff it so the new paint will stick to the old. Next, a sealer coat is laid down to keep the red from bleeding into the new candy colors. And after adding a strip of thin tape to create an outline, the painter applies the first color, a nice silver purple. Then, after exposing the proper sections of the graphic, the other colors go on, including red and orange. Next, some airbrushing for depth and shadows. And after drying overnight, Mike carefully removes the tape and masking pieces. And the final steps are wet sanding and applying some clear coat to the area. So, after 5 colors, some airbrushing, clear coat, and of course a little work, this Sport Compact has become the canvas for a piece of eye-popping candy art. Stay with us, Hot Parts is next.
And now Hot Parts, brought to you by CarParts.com. Everything for your car, truck, van, or SUV. Hey, I was surfing the net the other day and found something new at CarParts.com. It's a track flow air filter from Holley that uses an active matrix element treated with special oil that's layered between an aluminum grid. Now, it'll outflow any paper element, it's reusable, and they've got them for most popular applications. The prices start at $35.
The Beach Boys might have sung about good vibrations, but this ATI Super Damper will help keep the bad ones out of your 5-liter Ford. Its CNC machined shell is fully degreed, and its elastomer construction is especially effective at high RPM, where it'll free up to about 12 more horsepower. Now, it's rebuildable and tunable by replacing elastomer strips, and it'll only strip about $350 from your budget.
Hey, if you like to strut your Mustang stuff at the strip, well, check out Competition Engineering's 9010 drag struts that bolt up in place of your stockers for improved weight transfer and better traction. Now, they feature chrome-plated piston rods for longer life and computer-designed valving for more consistent control. Control yourself, though, a pair will set you back about $230.
Well, I think it's about time for this pair to get on out of here, but not before we take a look at next week's show.
We'll turn our project van Casper into white lightning, first with a free-flowing exhaust, then an air charger to help it breathe, before we reprogram the computer for more power. Of course, we'll test the work on our dyno jet. Chuck's got a tip on how to pocket port your heads, and I'll take you to the races, the IHRA Summer Nationals in the heart of Mid-America. And remember, high-performance fun is what this show is all about. Hey man, I gotta tell you, you look pretty good behind the wheel of that low-riding Mustang.
Yeah. Hey, I worked on your Mustang. Now you want me to ride in one too?
I'm just saying you look pretty good, but I won't tell any of your bow tie bubbles.
Hey, help me put the Ford wrenches away.
For information about the products used in today's show and more, check us out online at horsepowertv.com. Horsepower TV is an RTM production.